put on this planet to do this. Okay? Put on this planet to do this. Okay?
Yes. Welcome back to another episode of Stand on Guard. Well, how would you describe yesterday? I would say surreal. It was like you were watching a movie, and a movie that didn't seem real at that. Of course, film is never real at the best of times, but it does strive at times to portray the world in a realistic manner. What we saw yesterday from Parliament Hill, from Justin Trudeau, from Chrystia Freeland, from all of these players in our government seemed like it was not quite there. We'll be back in a minute with more.
So we are in a very precarious position in this country. We need political change, but we also need the resolve to resist.
Yes, please like this broadcast. You've been doing that a lot lately. And subscribe if you haven't, resubscribe if you need to. We're trying to hit 40,000 in another 14 days by the end of the month. Can we do it? We're 5,000 away. I think we can do it. Just keep it up. This station is finally catching fire. But a year and a half later, we're getting there with your help. Try to bring you the best possible coverage. Joe Warmington will be joining. I just spoke to him on the phone. He's writing away, finishing his column for today, and he's running off to appear Poilievre news conference after he talks to me. Must be in Toronto, because I'm not aware of one happening here in Ottawa, unless he's seeing a closed circuit or something. Anyway, so Joe will be joining me to talk about what happened yesterday at the House of Commons, and of course, the work he's been doing and I've been doing on behalf of the mayor of Emo, Ontario. This is the mayor who was forced to pay $5,000 to a human rights tribunal because he dared to say no to Pride Week and to fly the Pride flag. And these people are just absolutely disgusting in terms of how they're going after ordinary people and forcing them to think things they don't want to think, to do things they don't want to do. And I'm sick of dealing with these human rights tribunals that are nothing but kangaroo courts. We'll be talking about that later. And yesterday, now it doesn't get more bizarre than this. Before I forget, though, here's what Donald Trump had to say, and that's probably the most recent. This is like after everything yesterday. Donald Trump gets on Truth Social, and he says the great state of Canada is stunned as the finance minister resigns or was fired from her position by Governor Justin Trudeau. Her behavior was totally toxic and not at all conducive to making deals, which are good for the very unhappy citizens of Canada. She will not be missed. Well, that's probably very true. Even those of us who thought she probably did the right thing yesterday. I mean, yes, it's good riddance with Chrystia Freeland. She was very difficult to take, especially during question period. And I don't know how many times when I was doing live question period, people would pop up and say, "Oh, please, no, turn the sound off when Chrystia Freeland gets up. She's just there. She goes, hectoring, bantering, lecturing everybody in that voice of hers." Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Here she is, by the way, when she was freezing bank accounts. Let's not forget what Freeland was all about. I think I was a little too easy on her yesterday, because we got to remember this was the woman who thought it was just a wonderful idea to freeze the bank accounts of the Freedom Convoy. not just the protesters, but supporters.
Confirming that accounts have been frozen, both personal and corporate, but you're not releasing the information. And the actual follow-up is, I'm just wondering whether the bank accounts will be targeted of individuals who donated to the Give, Send, Go and the GoFundMe campaigns. Are they considered designated people under the Emergencies Act, meaning that their credit cards could be cut and financial services are targeting them as well?
Okay, so the names of both individuals and entities, as well as crypto wallets, have been shared by the RCMP with financial institutions, and accounts have been frozen, and more accounts will be frozen. Crowdfunding platforms and payment service providers have started the registration process with FinTrack. In terms of the specifics on whose accounts are being frozen, you now have the regulations. The financial service providers have those regulations as well, and they, working with law enforcement, will be making the operational decisions.
Yeah, thanks to True North for that one. Here's the situation, folks. What we want. Trudeau, of course, is not resigning. There was a stupid report yesterday, I think based on some inside source. I think CTV had it out, and they tweeted it, or I'm not saying tweet, that they posted on X yesterday saying that Trudeau might resign or parole. He has no intention of resigning. Although I understand, I just saw this morning, you remember Catherine McKenna, the former Environment and Climate Change Minister? She's actually saying Trudeau needs to resign, and every Liberal MP needs to tell him that. I haven't got the post in front of me, but she's actually saying that. And that is incredible. That is absolutely incredible. So 7 minutes in, we're still waiting for Joe to arrive here, and he will be coming on. We're going to talk about what happened yesterday, but until we get there, did you watch the news conference with NDP leader Jagmeet Singh? I found that to be absolutely incredible. Now, how does he get away with this? How does Jagmeet Singh get away with this? Because, of course, we're talking about, this is just before question period. And Jagmeet Singh has asked, should Trudeau resign? Yes, Trudeau should resign. He needs to resign immediately. Are you going to vote with the Conservatives in a non-confidence vote? All options are on the table. And of course, the media, you can see the visceral frustration with this manic liar who can't tell the truth to save his life, who's sitting there, and you can just see the glaze over his eyes as he comes out with the same stupid talking points. He can't justify telling Justin Trudeau to resign in one sentence and the next sentence not promising to vote non-confidence, because it's all about his pension. It's all about his pension. That is just so disgusting that any politician would be that crass, that base. And of course, the reporters are saying, how can you have it both ways, Mr. Singh? How can you have it both ways? How can you say Trudeau must resign and at the same time say, well, I can't tell you for sure whether I'm going to vote against him in a non-confidence vote because, well, there's other things to consider here. This guy is pathetic. He is a pathetic politician. But let's watch what he did yesterday.
Trudeau has to go. He has to resign. And because of that, all options are on the table. And we'll look at each vote and we'll make a decision. But now all options are on the table. Paul Wells. Go ahead, Paul. Go ahead, Paul.
Sir, that room behind you is a parliament. The government continues to govern as long as MPs continue to have confidence in the government. You have no say over who the leader of the Liberal Party is. Will you support the government, or are you withdrawing your support from the government?
With respect to that, I've said that all options are on the table. That means everything is possible. But what is clear, given what we have seen, Justin Trudeau and a Liberal government that are focused on themselves, they are infighting at a time when people cannot even do their groceries. They can't even find homes that are affordable. And we've got the threat of Donald Trump and 25% tariffs that mean hundreds of thousands of jobs are at risk. Because of that, I'm saying very clearly that Justin Trudeau has to resign. All options on the table. Thank you very much. Merci. Thank you.
Yeah, that is pathetic. Would you want this guy representing you as a lawyer? Because he really is an absolute atrocity in terms of how he tries to explain his position. And of course, if we have a chance, we'll watch Peter Julian, the NDP House Leader, suggest that Mr. Singh was quite clear. No, he wasn't quite clear. Because the issue here, of course, is all about Jagmeet Singh's pension. That's all this is about. The question is, why does somebody who has made a lot of money as a lawyer, comes from a wealthy family, why is this pension so damn important to him? Why does he need a pension so badly? That he will go to these lengths. He will be living through history right now and be unable to take a stand. He's going to bring his whole party down with him because he is so incompetent. He can't make a decision to save his life. And of course, let's have a look at the fiscal cliff we went over yesterday. So as I told you a week or so ago, yeah, it's going to be 60 billion plus. It was $61.9 billion deficit. And of course, the Liberals are heralding that yesterday. What few of them were in the House of Commons talking about, oh, it's great news. And look at the money we're spending on. Yeah. On what? Your free school lunches you haven't even offered yet? Your dental care plan for people with no teeth? This is a pathetic government. It just spends money like water. And of course, it spends it in places they don't even want to talk about. You have to read the estimates to find out where this government's really spending your money. And so what happens yesterday? They're supposed to read the fall economic statement. Polyev keeps calling it the FES. I've never actually heard that acronym pronounced this point. But he wants this. He says, well, just read it, and House comes. The last minute, they're waiting at 4:00, and just after question period. They're doing a few statements, and the speaker announces, "We're not going to be reading the fall economic statement in the House today." What? So therefore, they're not reading it. So the MPs have to scramble and look at the copies they've had, which has been embargoed until about an hour or two ago. So they're finally finding out how bad the news is, how big the deficit is. They're scrambling to get the information together. But because the speaker did not allow the economic statement to be read in the House, they're not going to have a proper vote on it. So it can't constitute a non-confidence motion. So that's how the speaker colluded with the Liberals yesterday, clearly, to get this economic statement passed, at least through the day, without a non-confidence vote coming. And Trudeau has no intention of resigning. I'm telling you that right now. Now, that might change in the next couple of days if somebody convinces him to do that. I don't know what it's going to take, what kind of a sledgehammer it's going to take to convince him to do that. But I think something might convince him to do that. And we will see what it will take. But Dominic LeBlanc, of course, is one of Trudeau's oldest friends. He's probably his closest ally in the cabinet. So he puts him in finance, takes him away from public safety. Now, what does that tell you? Well, the fall economic statement says they're going to spend $1.6 billion on the border over 6 years. What does that mean? Just like the Liberal defense policy, which is to spend, like $10 million, $60 million, $100 million, $1 billion in 8 years. It's in the budget, but we won't be spending that for 8 years. When, of course, they're no longer the government. So this is bogus. This is funny money. It's not going to be. They're not going to be spending anything on the border between now and January 20th. They have no intention of moving on the border. They've taken their public safety minister, our equivalent of the DHS, Homeland Security guy, out. We don't even know who the Minister of Public Safety is, the guy who's responsible for border security. We don't even know who that is. Dominic LeBlanc had that job yesterday morning. He no longer has that job. You can't be finance and public safety at the same time. Those are major portfolios. Somebody's going to be in there. There's about 5 different cabinet posts vacant now. This is a government without wheels. Or wings, for that matter. But it is absolute chaos. And it indicates the Trudeau government has no intention of looking after the border, of fixing the border, or even looking like they're fixing the border. And that to me is an absolute piece of nonsense. And that's how this government is running. Now, can enough Liberals convince Justin Trudeau to resign? Apparently, this is a guy who doesn't think he needs to resign. He went to a Liberal Party event last night, sneered at the protesters. Chrystia Freeland gets a standing ovation. What does that tell Justin Trudeau? This is the minister, the ex-minister, who just said he uses gimmicks. This is the guy who says he's not really doing a Team Canada thing because he doesn't understand what Team Canada is. It's Team Trudeau. Very caustic letter of resignation, as I said many times yesterday on this show, and when I appeared on Redacted yesterday, I talked about this is the most caustic letter of resignation I've ever seen. They're usually diplomatic, short, and wish you the best in your future endeavors sort of crap. This is the same sort of thing you get when you get fired by somebody, and they wish you the best in your future endeavors, but just never talk to me again, please. This was a very, very acrimonious letter. Anyway, let's see what Trudeau was up to yesterday. This will amaze you.
Letter to him. She is at that caucus as well. 2 people told me.
Sorry, let's listen.
Announced her resignation on social media in a letter to him. She is at that caucus as well. 2 people told me that she received a standing ovation when she arrived. I think the Prime Minister has been speaking now just for a few moments. We're going to keep our eyes peeled on this scene because it is truly remarkable.
These are the great things, and I cannot emphasize enough just how damn proud I am of what we have done over the past 9 years, and it's because of you.
Confirming that accounts have.
So Justin, of course, looks like he's totally in control here. Nothing to see. What's the issue? And that to me is just indicative of this man. He is. If we didn't know this already, this man is so delusional. He is so out of touch. He is so unwilling to face reality that he's living in his own little universe right now. And I don't think anything short of the real bosses of the Liberal Party, which of course are the moneyed class, which of course are the globalists who control the levers, the people who have put Justin Trudeau where he is today. I've never quite spoken this frankly about why I think Justin Trudeau is Prime Minister. But it's not just because he's Pierre Trudeau's son. Because this is a man who was essentially offered up as a sacrifice in the altar of globalism. And the globalists have led his career. They put him in the position. He was a nobody. He was a failed drama teacher when he suddenly became the leader of a party that wasn't even the official opposition at the time. It was the third party in the House of Commons. It was barely surviving. And you remember Jack Layton's NDP? They were the official opposition when Justin Trudeau became the leader of the Liberal Party. And then suddenly, in 2015, he's in third place. This is after Jack Layton's death, and Tom Mulcair becomes the leader of the NDP. And Tom Mulcair is actually farther to the right than Justin Trudeau on some issues. But Justin Trudeau is in third place in that 2015 election. Stephen Harper is expected to win that election. He looks like he's going to win another term, and he's going to be the first Conservative Prime Minister since Sir John A. Macdonald to be in power for more than 10 years. But of course, it all falls apart during the election. And Justin Trudeau's Prime Minister. And where does he go? The first place he goes as Prime Minister is to pay obeisance, respect to the World Economic Forum, which has put him into power. And that is Justin Trudeau's story. What is Jagmeet Singh's story? Well, it's one of cowardice. Jagmeet Singh is an incredible political coward who's incapable of even admitting that he can't vote against the government right now. Thank you. Sorry, but I have to wait till my pension comes through. So listen to what his House leader, Peter Julian, had to say yesterday about this.
Going to be confidence votes in February and in March. Does that mean if Justin Trudeau is still the Prime Minister and leader of the Liberal Party in February and March, does all options on the table mean the NDP will vote no, vote non-confidence in the government in those 2 months on that timeline?
If we're talking the end of February and the beginning of March, and Mr. Trudeau has not stepped down, hasn't heeded that call from his own caucus, from his own cabinet, from all the opposition parties, then yes. So of course that would mean if we're coming up to a straight up non-confidence motion the end of February, early March, that's one of the tools that we have. And okay. So there's no doubt about that. I mean, Jagmeet Singh was very, very clear. My concern really, David, isn't just late February, early March. It's right now. People need the supports. We need a government that actually is functional and is putting those supports into place. And we need all hands on deck in terms of the Trump tariffs, which threaten hundreds of thousands of jobs. So this idea that the Liberals can play out a drama over the course of the next few months, simply not on. And the NDP, and I think Jagmeet Singh was very clear about that.
Okay, well, with respect, Mr. Julian, he kind of wasn't. He just kept saying all options are on the table, right? And, you know, there's lots of options on lots of tables. It doesn't mean they get exercised. And you say that voting no is one of the tools you have available to them. But am I understanding you correctly that if Justin Trudeau's Prime Minister in February or March, 100% the NDP votes non-confidence in the government when it comes to the floor of the House of Commons?
When it's a straight up confidence motion, if at the end of February, early March, if we have the continued debacle that we're seeing here and the Prime Minister has not stepped down, though I doubt that. I mean, I think the odds are that he will heed the message tonight from his own caucus and his own cabinet. We simply cannot continue like this. So yes, the NDP, as the adults in the room, would step up on that. We believe that we need to be taking action now to help people and to stand up against the Trump administration.
Peter Julian, NDP House Leader, appreciate your time and thank you for the clarity on February and March. Just another thing to put on our calendars. Thank you for being here today, sir. Appreciate your time.
My pleasure. Thanks.
Sorry, my mic was. Did we get that? Did we hear that? And once again, I'm sorry that Joe is unable to join us again. And he's having some technical issues. I'm not sure what, but we had a chance. We will have that conversation about the mayor of Emo, and we will have because I'm not going to get into that today. This is an ongoing issue with the human rights tribunals, with the Human Rights Commission in Ontario. It is a kangaroo court that just runs amok. It is going crazy. Let me show you this one. This is what we want to talk about here. This is a slide. This is a picture on the Borderland Pride Facebook. This is the group that took the mayor and the council of Emo to court through the Human Rights Tribunal. They would never have gotten this case heard if it had have been in a civil court. So they went through the Human Rights Tribunal to get what they wanted, and they got what they wanted. $10,000 fine for the town, $5,000 fine for the mayor, and this is how they depict themselves. The gay pride flag is just rolling over everything in their wake. Traditional family, Christian values, sanctity of marriage. You got it. It's all gone. And they've got the government of Doug Ford behind them. And that is where we stand with human rights tribunals. Now, Joe has done some great work on this, and this is why I wanted him on the show again to discuss this. This is absolutely outrageous that this is allowed to continue. But it's Doug Ford's Human Rights Tribunal. I want to emphasize this isn't Justin Trudeau. Don't blame Trudeau for this one, although he loves it. This is Doug Ford, the faux conservative, the phony conservative who's getting away with this. And nobody wants to criticize Doug Ford. Oh, yeah, he's one of us. No, he's not. Doug Ford is for Doug Ford, and he's Trudeau's useful idiot in every way. Every time Trudeau needs a provincial ally, he turns to Doug Ford. Doug Ford loves Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau loves Doug Ford because they're in the same boat together. I was going to say something else, better not. But Doug, don't be fooled by Doug Ford. He's not on your side. He's not a conservative. He's not a principled conservative. He is a progressive conservative because you know what that means? It means an oxymoron because it's two contradictory terms put together. He's a progressive who pretends to be a conservative. That's what Doug Ford is all about. And I will criticize Doug Ford every day of the week because he really doesn't deserve the homage he gets from so many conservatives who think he's doing a great job in Ontario. He's not. He was the lockdown king during COVID. He was Mr. Trudeau's right-hand man during the Emergencies Act. Give it to them, he said. Give those truckers what they deserve. And that's Doug Ford. And now it's give the mayor of Emo what he deserves. Doug Ford hasn't said a word about this because he knows the grassroots people who still believe in him wouldn't like him supporting this decision, but he has done nothing to support this mayor or this council. Nothing. And he just hopes it goes away. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in today. These are exciting times. Things are going to be happening today. Things are going to continue to happen every day. And Trudeau might resign. I don't know. My crystal ball doesn't say, and I don't read crystal balls anyway. But I don't know. I don't think he will. But the globalists might convince him it's time to go because he's doing more harm than good for their cause. And it's always about the globalist cause when it comes to Justin Trudeau. So we'll be back tomorrow with all the news you need to know, or at least some of it, so we can all continue to resolve to resist in these exciting but very dangerous times. Stay tuned, folks, and God bless. Oh, one more reminder. Christmas is coming, 8 days away. Have a look at our merchandise.
Ho, 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 ho!
Yes, and don't forget this cup here. This we just got in the mail yesterday. This is the latest addition to the Stand on Guard Cup family. Free speech. That is something every principled conservative should wake up to on Christmas morning. Thank you for watching, and I will be back